Everybody gives to the Cancer Society. Everybody gives to ALS. I mean, you go down to veterans, and people with disabilities isn't even on the top 100 of what people think about.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the SOAR Podcast, powered by the Quadfather. I'm sitting here today with the one and only Brian P. Swift. We're doing this because we need to raise awareness and attention towards the 61 million people in the United States that have disabilities. What Swift Outdoor Accessible Recreation is all about.
It provides things you can't buy, like hope, like dreaming, possibilities, freedom, things that people just don't think about. The mental and emotional part that we deal with every day, knowing I can't get out there and do the same way that other people can.
But I think when people think about charitable giving, they think, well, I got to swipe a huge check. And the reality is, if you could contribute $15, $20, whatever is within your capability, by contributing, you're making a difference. But my gosh, you're going to make a difference to yourself to know that that went towards changing the livelihood of somebody who perhaps felt that their life was going to be stagnant in this position for an extended period of time.
People have to understand you get what you want out of life by helping others get what they want out of life.
And some of these charities are going to die off if the younger generation doesn't get involved. Just needs to be a situation where you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I am proud of myself for contributing to the greater good of society and to do things that probably make the higher power very happy.
Man, if the world worked more like this, and I guarantee the more you give, the more you get. And we live in a world that there's enough for everybody, but we have not been.
Why is that? All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the SOAR Podcast, powered by Swift Outdoor Accessible Recreation. Also, the Quadfather. I'm sitting here today with the one and only Brian P. Swift. Thank you for having me once again.
John, you're welcome. I'm excited again to have this opportunity, not just to do the podcast, but to support people, help others, and bring our mission to the world.
You know what's amazing, Brian, is just in 2 episodes, we are so grateful that we have crossed 35,000 views on YouTube. We are so grateful for that, because the whole point of doing this podcast is Brian and I are not trying to be Ryan Seacrest. We're not trying to be Dick Clark, right? We're not trying to be famous celebrities. We're doing this because we need to raise awareness and attention towards the 61 million people in the United States that have disabilities. And the reason being is because there are all types of resources out there for folks to assimilate or feel more inclusive into this society that has been built over the years, not for people that are disabled. And it goes beyond ramps and railings and all those things and curbs. They're obviously extremely important. The equipment is extremely important. But Brian has been able to dive deeper into what it really looks and feels like to be disabled in the United States of America. And it's a lot to do with mindset and psychology and dreaming and kind of losing some of that passion. And Brian wants to restore that with SOAR. So could you describe for our listeners just one more time again, and we're probably going to continue to do this, but just describe again what Swift Outdoor Accessible Recreation is all about.
Sure. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. And what we do is we ultimately get people outdoors. Now, that's the end mission. But behind the end mission of getting people outdoors doing the things they love to do at one point or want to start doing, it's not the equipment we provide. It's not that outdoor wheelchair. It's not that wheelchair attachment. It's beyond those things that we provide. And I think we're going to talk about that today, because ultimately that outdoor wheelchair is great. That cushion is needed and a necessity. That wheelchair attachment, whatever that is that we help people get, what that does is provides so many things that are intangible. It provides things you can't buy, like hope, like dreaming, possibilities, freedom, things that people just don't think about. They see you in a person in a wheelchair. They see somebody with crutches. They see people that are disabled and they just think they're disabled. It's not got to be easy, but there's a lot behind that. The mental and emotional part that we deal with every day, knowing I can't get out there and do that with my kids. I can't go bike riding because I don't have a therapeutic trike. I can't build that relationship the same way that other people can, because maybe I can't even get in a lot of friends' houses. There's so many things that really dive deeper into what SOAR does that drives me, and it's all those things money can't buy.
What's amazing to me when you say that is I'm just sitting here thinking about one of the most powerful things that we have as human beings to give us joy and to give us hope in some of those intangibles is memories made. And some of the best memories that you make are the things that kind of allow you to get through adversity or overcome a challenge that's right in front of you. You can kind of think back to a previous time where you were really happy or excited or you achieved something, and you can go, okay, this is what it's about. I got to find a way to do that again. I would imagine, and you could answer this better than anyone, that some of that is kind of stripped from you, and you've got to alter what type of memories you make. What you're trying to do is to open up and expand the opportunity of memories that people can make.
Absolutely. And depending on when your injury was, or maybe you were born with it, it doesn't strip it a little. It can totally take it away. Just go back to COVID. How did you feel in COVID? Did you not feel like all your joys had been stomped on? This is the life people with disabilities lead daily. We live in a life of COVID for lots of reasons. And this isn't about SOAR. This is about providing. This is something that I've been driven to do 11 years ago. We're going into our 11th year. And I have a couple letters and thank yous from people I'd like to read later, because that's what it's about. You don't buy those emotions, feelings. You can't reproduce that. Just like you talked about memories with your friends.
Yeah.
Might have been the silliest thing you and your buddies did, or you as a couple and a couple other couples did, that you'll talk about forever. And it wasn't about what it cost. It was just about that connection, whether it's connection with people, connection with nature, connection that builds confidence within you. All those things is really what SOAR is trying to give. That's what I want to do. Hello, I'd like to welcome everybody. This is Brian P. Swift, a.k.a. the Quadfather. And yes, I hope you're enjoying my podcast. And please reach out to me for any of your needs. But I want to let everybody know we have started our end of the year fundraising, and you could find us almost anywhere to find out what our mission is, which is to help people with disabilities get back outdoors, become inclusive, find hope, find light. And we provide numerous ways to give, whether it be through the website, whether it be through other means. There are numerous ways, but we can't continue without your support. We're going into our 11th year. Look at our website, SOARnonprofit.com, and find out ways that we can support you, how I can help you, and help us drive this grassroots effort forward. Thank you, and God bless.
Okay, so can you give me an example? And I'm hyper curious about this myself. Like, tell me about one of the coolest experiences that you have been able to raise money for, because this is a 501c3. It takes time, talent, and treasure from the outside community, from business leaders, from folks that want to go beyond their success to legacy and significance. It takes people that maybe have somebody in their family or a neighbor or somebody that has positively impacted their life, and they want to create that joy and opportunity for other people that have disabilities. So talk to us a little bit about maybe the coolest experience that you've created thus far through this amazing charity, and some of the folks that helped you to do that. Because certainly there's nothing that we do on our own, but this does not operate without your amazing donors.
Absolutely. The donors are critical, and I want to create that legacy and that long-lasting effect that we have on people. So in terms of stories, man, I've been blessed that there's quite a few of them that just touch my heart and all of us at SOAR, and we are a small 501c3. But the one that will always, I guess, come to mind was a 9-year-old girl who had she was born with a condition, much like cerebral palsy, and she had 3 brothers and sisters, and we had gotten her grant. It was a no-brainer. We were trying to get her a therapeutic trike. Now, it's not a trike you could just pick up at the store because her needs were different. Some trikes you can pedal and you can still pedal with your feet and your hands. Some trikes need specific back support to help somebody. Some trikes need things to tie your feet in so that if your feet and legs spasm, they don't come off. So it's very specific. And we got her this trike and brought it over to her home. And we were expecting what we've seen sometimes in the past. You know, the mom comes out, they open the garage door, and the mom and dad came out the front door, and they brought her out, and we pulled the trike out of my van and gave it to her, and her parents lit up. I mean, you could see a tear coming from mom. You know, dad was just overly thankful, and this little girl that wasn't maybe great at communicating, her eyes lit up because she was standing around it and walking around it. And, you know, I was hoping, and I am a little aggressive with like, let's put her on it. I want to see the experience. So they put her on it, and the garage door opens. And in the garage is Grandma and Grandpa, her brothers and sister, and they're just, they come out and they're just ecstatic.
Yes.
Grandma and Grandpa are in tears. We get her on it. She rolls down the driveway. Her brothers and sisters come out, get on their bikes, and there's 4, 6, 8 people there just in awe and in tears. And mom says this is the first time she's been able to ride a bike or spend time with her brothers and sisters. And within 10 minutes, neighborhood kids had come over. And now there's going back to old school when you ran and rode your bikes in packs. There she was riding her bike with the pack. Now you can't put a price on that. No. The feeling that I get goosebumps telling the story. That's one of many stories where you're impacting. So when you think about, you know, how many grants have you given out? Well, you know, I can put a number on that, but that one grant impacted so many people. Mom and dad, 3 siblings, grandma and grandpa, neighborhood kids. That grant made an impact that
on a community.
Yes.
Because you don't think that there's neighbors that are like, oh, that poor girl.
Absolutely.
Right. And, you know, kind of them to do that, to say, oh, that poor girl. But, you know, we got to do more than say, oh, that poor girl. Like, that doesn't that doesn't move the needle. When they could be like, hey, SOAR, here's $50. You know what I mean? Like,
no. And you brought it up, John. We don't do this alone. We can't do this alone. We have some generous donors, but to grow it, we need people to understand, businesses, corporations, if they want to be a part of that feeling. Every year I send out twice a year 3-4 pages of photos of the equipment, the pictures of the people getting the equipment, families that went swimming for the first time.
Yeah.
A picture of we got a lift for a family, and they were all in this. It was like a gigantic hot tub, but they all were able to get in the hot tub together for the first time. You know, there's mom, and it was for her, but she was there with her husband and 2 kids. They were all together in a hot tub because we were able to get her a lift to get in and out of the hot tub.
That's amazing.
Here's the interesting thing. 20% of the population has a disability, some form of mobility disability. As we all age, we may all be in that need at some point. You know, God willing, you escape the fact that something doesn't happen to you, or whether that be an event or an illness, but it more than likely, you know, at some point, Somebody's going to need a wheelchair. Somebody's going to need crutches. Somebody's going to need canes. Somebody's going to need some form of assistance, all of which we provide.
Yeah. I was thinking, obviously 444 Media is what is producing this podcast, and I'm very proud to be here, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity. But the next delivery that you do, we're going to be there with video cameras to capture that moment.
That would be awesome.
And to share that experience, because I think that if the general public was able to see, we had this show that was on where they would rebuild somebody's house and they put a big bus in front of it,
sure.
and then they would do the big reveal. And it just was like, if you didn't cry when you saw that reveal and how that changed the family's life, like you've got kind of a colder heart and maybe need to warm that bad boy up. But I think that that's something that we really need to get across to the public is the reaction that happens. The immediate reaction is powerful. But what you don't see is what happens days and weeks and months after that, how it changes, how they wake up in the morning, how they do their schoolwork, or perhaps how they approach their career, or maybe how they dream a little bit bigger. It has an impact on all of those things. And I was just thinking as well, we say to people that are normal, and I have air quotations up, that don't be normal. Like being not normal is awesome. Like don't be normal. But when you're not normal, I'm sure there's a part of you that says, God, I just would love to have some normalcy. So it's interesting that we always want what we can't have. And we should be stewards to other people and try and help them to achieve that. But you tell me, is that kind of there's a little bit of normalcy that you're providing to people?
It's like, you look at and again, what is normal? And I think we
certainly not me.
No, but me either. But I think when we think of norm, we just think about going through the day, doing the things that most people are able to do, right? Yeah. Now, we may want to do them differently. I may want to go out and throw the football with my kid. You like to go out and golf with your son.
Yeah.
That's your normal, and which is awesome. My normal is to be able to go out and maybe play catch with my son, maybe go fishing, definitely do woodworking in the garage. But when those things are taken away, all of a sudden, nothing is normal.
I want to hang on that for a second, because you just made me think. If I got in an accident and lost a leg or both legs, that would not only strip me of my legs, but it would strip me of my ability to do the thing that in some ways defines me. Like, people ask me, why do you play so much golf? Why would I not do the thing that gives me the most validation, where I feel the best about myself? It's something I worked really hard to get good at. So why would I not want to do that as often as possible? Now, if I got in an accident and couldn't do that anymore, I would feel like a part of me was missing. Now, if I aligned with somebody like S.O.A.R, and you had this methodology or way of helping me to be able to get back in the game, like that puts me back on a course of a happier life.
Absolutely. And they do have golf carts that the seat swings out and stands you up.
Oh my gosh.
So you can golf. Now,
but that's not $48 at Dick's Sporting Goods. No. Like, that is a big time thing. It's probably the same cost
as a car.
Right? Or as a private country club membership. So, Absolutely. Playing golf versus the cost. And what you're doing is getting grants to offset the cost, right?
Exactly. I mean, so the things that we provide are things that insurance deems not a necessity. So whether that be a wheelchair attachment to get off the beaten path so you can ride paths, go up and down, maybe inclines, they don't deem that a necessity, so they won't pay for it. And there's numerous attachments that could range anywhere from, say, $4,000 to $8,000, $10,000 for a wheelchair. And not everybody has that $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 to get that item. Just here's an example of cushion. You get one cushion, we sit on it. Now we rely on a special cushion to stop pressure sores and bed sores. You get one every 5 years. If you're active and not just moving or in and out of your wheelchair, it's going to get a hole in it. And it comes with a repair kit. Most holes you can repair. Well, some you can't. Some it's just, you can't repair it. If it's within 5 years, insurance typically doesn't buy you a new one. And the cushions that most people sit on are $500 plus cushions.
Well, the insurance companies don't have enough money. They need to build more stadiums, right?
Well, of course. I mean, and we don't have a voice out there anymore. We don't have Christopher Reeves. Yeah. Even though we have the Christopher Reeves
Well, we
Foundation.
got Brian Swift.
Well, the Quadfather, I'd be humbled to be a voice out there, and that's what I'm working on, to make a difference, a bigger difference. But we need people to understand what they're able to provide by partnering with us to build this legacy that is helping so many people. And that may mean not giving to the top. Everybody gives to the Cancer Society. Everybody gives to, ALS. I mean, you go down to veterans, you go down the list, and people with disabilities isn't even on the top 100 of what people think about. It is those ones that have been out in front of us, all these years. And I have had a 52-year-old cousin die from ALS. I have had young people that I know, young being in their 40s and 50s, die from cancer. I have seen people in that range die from heart attacks. There are a lot of worthy causes. I'm not trying to compete with them. I'm trying to provide what we do, and and I don't want to say nobody else does, because there's a lot of small nonprofits, but I am battling. I'm battling the giants.
Yeah. Charitable contributions in the United States are down as well. Obviously, economic conditions play a role in that. The cost of living is up with inflation and the fuel prices and the cost of groceries. I mean, my gosh, if you go buy a bag of Doritos, there's a third of the Doritos in the bag that there used to be. I mean, everything is up. The corporations are playing a game because they're obviously got to worry about their top line and their shareholder value and all these different things. So we understand the game that is being played. But I think when people think about charitable giving, they think, well, I got to swipe a huge check. And the reality is, if you look at somebody, and this is not a political statement, but if you look at somebody like a Bernie Sanders, he ran his campaign on $20 contributions here, $10 contributions there, $50 contributions there. This was not the wealthy that were giving to Bernie Sanders.
No, it was grassroots.
He was grassroots. So if you go to www.SOAR, S-O-A-R, nonprofit.com, you can take a look at how you could contribute. $15, $20, $30, whatever it is, whatever is within your capability. By contributing, you're making a difference. But my gosh, you're going to make a difference to yourself when you look in the mirror to know that that went towards changing the livelihood of somebody who perhaps felt that their life was going to be stagnant in this position for an extended period of time. And if we get a whole bunch of people through this awareness and attention vehicle we call the SOAR Podcast, powered by the Quadfather, if we get a bunch of people to subscribe, share it with a friend, like, comment, we increase the amount of awareness that we gather. And then, by the way, if people, if thousands of people contribute $5 here, $10 there, now we've got something and we're really making a difference in lives. We can't always count on the wealthy and the business owners to swipe the big check. Sometimes the masses have to rally and say, hey, look, nobody's looking out for us little people. Let's just be honest. We got to look out for each other. And we know you've got a ton of different charities, but just a small amount. That's what it comes down to.
That's all we're looking for. And like the old hair commercials, you tell two people that they tell two people. It is a nickel and dime game. I got to where I'm at in life by being nickel and dime smart. We started SOAR with our own money, trying to be nickel and dime smart. But, I don't want to step over, a dollar to pick up a dime type of smart, and it really comes down to what you said, John, and then reaching out to the corporate presidents, vice presidents, the people that are maybe making some of the bigger decisions, and maybe it's not even made there. Maybe it's made by HR or somebody.
Corporate responsibility. They all talk about having corporate responsibility, and many of them, are virtue signaling. Then there's a good portion of them that have it as an idea, but just haven't figured out quite. Like, it keeps getting put on the back burner. It's like they have a director of it, but they haven't really made it a full initiative. Maybe they don't know who to turn to. And then there's other companies out there that do have amazing corporate responsibility, and they probably have their hands in a whole bunch of different things. And it's really just about making them aware that this is another thing they could do. And they probably have a portion. You look at a company that has 30, 40,000 employees across the country, you better damn well know that they've got some folks that are disabled veterans. They've got to have some folks that were in an accident that are quadriplegics that are working at their organization.
Believe it or not, I think you'd be appalled at the statistics of people in wheelchairs that are working full time. I went through this in 1980. The stats aren't much better than in 1980. There's still, I believe, under or around 20% of people with disabilities that are in a wheelchair that work full time.
Okay, so hold on a second, because that's not because they lack a willingness to work. That's because of the insurance game. If they work a certain amount of hours, make a certain amount of money, they don't get the benefits from the insurance. So they're kind of stuck in a limbo.
Which, you know what, we roll on Congress every year to fight that, and it has not been changed. But that is a big reason why, and other reasons, like I want to go buy a van that I can drive to work every day. I don't have $70,000, $90,000 to buy a van. I tried to drive a car. You know what? I couldn't get my wheelchair in and out without making myself a mess and taking so long. Mm-hmm. I live in the Midwest. 8 months,
Seasons.
9 months a year, I'm either going to be rained on or snowed on, or the weather's is going to be ugly. So a car didn't work for me. So outside of the system, they're also fighting accessibility. I think they're also fighting fear that companies have of hiring somebody. And I have statistics that show that hiring people with disabilities brings more good, more opportunity, and they tend to work harder. Because I know when I was out there, I felt like I was representing a community. Not just a community, I was representing myself too, but I felt I am going to leave an impression on somebody who was hired that was in a wheelchair, and I want to open doors for people with my work ethic.
You probably also felt like you didn't have the job security that the other person had. You always were having to do a little bit more to make certain that you weren't the next decision if they were going to decide to cut people, right? I mean, there's got to be some of that in your mindset.
Absolutely. And not just that, but once I got into the working world was, my ability to progress. I think there was still a lot of that. He's got a job he should be thankful for. Matter of fact, I know that's the way it was for a while until I put up enough stats. I felt I did double what other people did to get where they
to the same spot.
Absolutely. I know I did. Mm-hmm. I have old record. I know I did, but you know what? I was okay with that because I was still succeeding, making money in sales, making money is a leader. I knew I'd get there if I could just.
Well, you had to, Brian, because you couldn't be in the boys' club. You weren't going to go on the hunting trips.
No,
you couldn't go. You couldn't go play in the golf tournaments.
No, I didn't.
Right? You're not going to go to President's Club, right? So you had to do all those things because you're not part of the gang, man. You're different, and that's kind of an interesting thing. Now, here's the odd part about this, right? If folks can't work because it puts them beyond what the insurance companies will allow, and then you got to go to Congress and say, go change this. But somebody's got to flip the bill for all these folks that are on unemployment. So it becomes essentially an entitlement. We end up paying for it as taxpayers when we could contribute to a company like yours and give people more freedom to be more productive within society. and then they could go out and feel like they could use their mind and their assets and the things that they do have 100% full control of and play a huge role in society. And then guess what? We wouldn't need as many entitlements. Therefore, the taxes might not be as high. So this kind of works in like a full circle.
Absolutely. And I mean, just to give you an example, we gave a grant to a young woman in her early 30s who was born with a crippling type of disease. But I mean, she's totally functionable and from a wheelchair and wants to start her own business.
Yeah.
Now,
let's go.
Okay, is funding somebody starting their own business, getting them outdoors? Well, it is to a point because she wants to be able to get out to meet with clients.
Yeah.
She wants to be able to get out just for the same reason everybody wants to get out. So we were going to send her a grant, and she was worried about having to
explain it,
having to cash a check, put it in her bank account, and was that going to affect the $1,100 a month she was getting from being on disability? So, I mean, she was almost to a point of turning down the grant. And I said, I've got this. We're just going to buy you the equipment you want instead of giving you, so we bought all the equipment she was needing so that she could move. She had started a business. She just needed more equipment. And we shouldn't have to be worrying about jumping through these types of hoops.
No.
Somebody who's making $1,100.
You got to keep you in the matrix, man. Got to keep you in that system.
Yeah. No, it is. But it is. It's modern slavery. I mean, I hate to say that, but it is modern slavery, and there's so many other things that they want to look at. It's like a corporation that gives, if I've got to walk into a meeting and say, okay, where's our corporate responsibility going? When I can say, well, it's going to the United, Heart Association, and it's going to the United this, and it's going to, those are easy things because everybody's heard of them. Now, if I got to go in there and say, well, you know what, we're going to donate to a company called S.O.A.R, and they work with people with disabilities, I might have to explain that. Mm-hmm. I might be afraid to even pull the trigger to donate to a small nonprofit.
Yeah. And are they a big enough organization? Which, let's just be fair, let's be honest, okay? So we're doing a podcast because we need to grassroots this bad boy. We've got to get the message out in the way that we can on a limited budget. These huge charities have blimps, golf tournaments, months named after them,
stadiums,
ribbons, stadiums. I mean, my gosh. So, yeah, it's a lot easier for somebody in the corporate responsibility or HR section of a business to go, these are the 4 we're going with. They're the biggest and baddest, by the way. They're going to put our logo on their blimp. They're going to put our logo on that golf tournament with Phil Mickelson there. They're going to put us there. And good for them. Good for them. They have worked amazingly hard to get to that point, and they're doing amazing work for big time needs, and they're supporting major corporations that are supporting them back. Great for them. But these smaller charities that are coming out that have a great impact have to somehow get launched and get started. So we got to get grassroots, and we need your help to do it. And well, look, we obviously don't want to have a podcast where we come on here and have it be like an infomercial and where we're asking you to, call the 1-800 number and donate, right? Like, that's not what this is. Not a telethon, but it is pretty important that we get this message across, because there are other examples of phenomenal work that you've done for people where it's changed their lives, and literally a contribution, you could change a life.
Absolutely. The cushions. We've got one donor, and he wants to be anonymous. He donates money that helps us buy cushions and gloves and things for people. Now, if you go without a cushion and end up with a bed sore, a pressure sore,
you could die from that if it gets infected.
Absolutely. That, not just the physical pain, but you are going to end up costing that insurance company hundreds of thousands of dollars in wound doctors, wound care, maybe flap surgery, definitely all the treatments, hyperbaric treatments. That's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars when they could have been given a $500 cushion to prevent all that.
Yeah.
And we have prevented a lot of that by just donating a $500 cushion through a grant through somebody. As you said, it's not the $100,000 donation, the $10,000 donation.
It's the masses
that we've thrived on, and we've never had a $100,000 donation. It is the nickels and dimes from people who've been impacted that we started this foundation with. We're going into our 11th year, and the other thing we battle is I cannot apply for a $1 million grant, even a $100,000 grant sometimes, because you have to have so much money in your foundation. And we don't carry $100,000 in our foundation. We live almost, I'll say it like check to check. And I'm worried this year because, as you stated, for lots of reasons, donations have been way down. It's a bloodbath to try to get them. And at the end of the year, end of year is our beginning of the year, just from a going into 2026, our plans. And I'm trying to grow SOAR. We've added, and this is one everybody will appreciate. Service dogs are amazing. And I'm talking about real service dogs, John. I'm not talking about, I like to take my little puppy with me because I like to have it around me. I'm talking about dogs that provide a service. They open doors, they close doors, they pick up items off the floor. They can, grab the remote, your phone. They actually
change a mood.
I haven't even gotten to that, which we all know. I mean, there are only two things in this world that come with instant love that are loved no matter what. That's babies and puppies, right? I mean, who
always happy when you get home?
Babies and puppies.
Yep.
So and we all understand that. But I have been without a service dog for 3 years, and there's an effect. But a lot of people are struggling because they can't afford a service dog. It's not a cheap venture, and it's not just the service; it's the emotional service it provides. It's the friendship. It's that confidence it gives somebody to go out for the walk, to hop in their car, knowing that, hey, if I drop my keys, my dog's here, I don't want to have to look for somebody or try to get it and fall out of my chair and hurt myself. So we've added this year a service dog program. We're trying to separate it so that we can start a fund to help people get service dogs.
So the average decision maker in corporations is 36 years old. Wow. The younger generation is very purpose driven. And you'll notice this if you've gone to a college campus. They're all in some sort of purpose. Agree with the purpose or not, they are crusaders for some sort of worldly purpose. They've maybe this world that they've grown up in that is on cable news and filled with corruption and it's right out there in front of you. And maybe all of that has caused this younger generation to be like, no, this is not right. They're not as economically focused as they are focused on making a difference. That said, they're not as philanthropic as the older generations. I grew up with parents that, were part of 7 different organizations, and they were always up at the church, and they were always doing potlucks, and they were always going to soup kitchens, and we were always clearing out our closets to donate all the time. I mean, we barely had clothes of our own. We're always donating clothes. You never threw a book away, man. It always got donated. My parents were just part of so many things at the church and the Knights of Columbus and all these different things. And
and I was the same generation where, you went to church, you gave. There might have been somebody up there selling Girl Scout cookies, right? You bought the cookies because it was a good cause. There's somebody up there, playing baseball, trying to, you bought candy from them. Like you said, you donated your shoes, you donated clothes that were already hand-me-downs.
Brian, it's freaking hard right now. It is so hard to keep up with the Joneses. I mean, my gosh, I don't know how my parents raised 6 kids. I mean, my dad was successful, but he wasn't successful until I was about 12. And I'm the youngest of 6, so he put 5 others through college by the time I was 14, 15 years old. So, like, I don't know how the hell they did it, but clearly the world was different. It was cheaper to own a house. It was cheaper to drive a car.
Absolutely.
We didn't have all this damn technology that just consumes every freaking dollar that we have. And now what has happened is less and less people are going to whatever religion they believe in. The younger generation is not nearly as engaged, although I do think there is a bit of a revival. The younger generation is not nearly as engaged in some sort of a higher power belief where they're part of that community as well. And some of these charities are going to die off if the younger generation doesn't get involved. Because the younger generation, the baby boomers are leaving this earth. Gen X is drinking through a fire hose right now, trying to keep up because we're sending our kids to college at $50,000 a year. My parents sent kids to college at $9,000 a year. It's $50,000 for me to send my kid to college right now.
And you know what people need to remember, and I bring this up because I just did a speech for Moraine Valley Community College, and community college is an amazing option. And why more people aren't jumping that option? I mean, when you're
being
17,
an electrician is a major option.
I asked my kids to do several things. All 3 of them start at junior college. I was not their biggest, I was not on their hit list, their happy hit list at that time. But start at junior college till you figure out: do I want to continue my education? Mm-hmm. Do I want to go into the trades? Do I want to go into the military? Do I want to be an entrepreneur?
And by the way, is it something that I require a college diploma to do? Like, for instance, if you are an amazing personality and a master connector and a great communicator, I don't know that you need to, if your destiny is to be an amazing salesperson, I don't know that you need to go get a diploma for that. Like, if that's the angle you want to go, please certainly do that. But like, if you want to be a doctor, an architect, an engineer, clearly you have to go get the amazing education that you're going to get. But to your point, there's a lot of education out there where you could go kind of figure out who you are. I don't know if you should figure out who you are at $50,000 a year.
When you can do it for $5,000
exactly.
$5,000 at a junior college. That's what a year costs. And guess what? You know the book they use at Moraine Valley or Joliet Junior College for English 101? For philosophy 101.
It's the same book.
It's the same book they're using at Northwestern and Harvard.
And by the way,
Notre
the professor's
Dame.
probably just as good.
If not better, because they're real.
Yeah.
They don't have an agenda.
They're there. It's not a teacher's assistant. It's the actual professor. I mean, most of the classes, at these huge universities, you're on, teacher assistant number 2 and 3. The professor's in a lab.
Trying to
or writing a book,
trying to get published.
Yeah,
and you're in a auditorium that echoes with that many
300 people.
Exactly, if not more.
Yeah,
exactly. So to your point, people have to understand you get what you want out of life by helping others get what they want out of life. And there is maybe some people don't believe in karma. Some people don't understand the philosophy of, you do for somebody, they do for somebody. Is if you've ever been in line and at a Dunkin' or a Starbucks and you get up there and somebody's paid for your coffee, just think about what that $7, $5, I don't know, I'm not a big coffee drinker, but just think how that changed your day. Mm-hmm. Just that one little act.
And those types of things go viral on social media. Like if you're a TikToker or Instagram, you see it and, they'll record it. Right. And it's like they'll cover the reaction. And there's all types of creators that are probably sponsored by people that go out and, ask somebody, like they'll go to a poor person and they'll pretend that they're poor and they'll be like, hey, I need $3. And the poor person will have $5 to their name and give them the $3. And they'll be like, well, why would you give me the $3 if you only have $5? And they're like, well, because I'm in the position you're in. I know what it feels like to be told no over and over and over again. And then the person that was pretending that they were poor will give them $5,000, because they were the first person to actually show that type of kindness. Those things just melt my heart. I mean, they're just amazing. I know they're staged in some cases. They're highly curated. Nonetheless, the meaning of it is what I think we need more of in the world. And I think that it's got to transcend just being a great content piece. I think a lot of people see it as a content piece and they get highly entertained by it. But how could you contribute to create that same reaction for yourself, where it doesn't need to be a social media piece? It just needs to be a situation where you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I am proud of myself for contributing to the greater good of society and to do things that probably make the higher power very happy.
There's the law of reciprocity, right?
Love that law.
If you go out with your friends, whether it be singles or couples or families, and they they pick up the tab and you got that argument, right?
Mm-hmm.
I got it, you got it, I got it. Okay. You know what? Next time you go out,
you feel compelled.
You're definitely going to be compelled. You'll let me pick it up. You did next time. Man, if the world worked more like this, and I guarantee the more you give, the more you get. And we live in a world that there's enough for everybody, but we have not been.
Why is that?
We have not been designed that. I guarantee there is enough for everybody to live in a home, for everybody to drive a car. Maybe not a Lexus. That's the way life works. Not everybody gets to drive a Lexus, and that's okay. But there is enough money, property, time out there for everybody's to succeed. I'm a win-win-win guy. Why can't everybody win? Mm-hmm. I don't have to. I can still give to the veterans or whatever my cause is and still give to another cause. But, when we're out talking about, cancer and, oh, yeah, I give every year, I feel good being able to say that. You know how amazing it's going to be when you say, well, I give to an organization that helps people with disabilities.
And by the way,
wait a minute, really?
I think that, I don't know, there's something to giving to a smaller organization that is going to be far more appreciative of it and is going to make a big deal out of it. Like, here's the deal. Like, I feel like I give to these large organizations and I feel like I don't really know what happened. Like, that money went somewhere. I know I got a tax write-off, but I'm not really sure. Like, did I move the needle in any way, shape, or form? They certainly didn't tell me that it went to this particular person or it did this or whatever. Like, it's kind of like out of touch. And it probably went through thousands of hands. And it really didn't, like, I don't know. There's something to the idea of giving to a smaller charity that is more local, that is going to tell me exactly where those dollars went and then get me in contact or send me a video of the reaction of the person who actually got those funds. That, as a giver, would make me feel like, okay, I really made a difference. I just wasn't throwing money out into the ethos or the ether, is that what they call it, and hoping
Absolutely.
It worked.
And again, not to play light of donating to these other charities, but yeah, I mean, you hit it. How many hands does it touch? What goes out the other end? Me and my wife have run this for 11 years, along with my kids who put in time. And I thought, I'm going to go off a little topic. I thought it was really neat. I was looking at my son's resume and activities at the bottom. He put SOAR nonprofit, and he put all the stuff he did for it.
That's awesome.
And some of it I forgot. And they don't get paid. Mm-hmm. My wife doesn't get paid. I don't get paid. I don't take a penny from SOAR.
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem right when I'm doing okay in life to take money from an organization when there's people that need it far more than I do. Mm-hmm. And I know that I'm not sure the exact amount, but I guarantee with it, every dollar that you donate, we're probably putting 90 cents out back into people's equipment and things they need, or an adventure they want to go on. Maybe they want to go deep sea fishing or snorkeling or skiing. We help fund those ventures. So I guarantee that. I probably could also guarantee that these big corporations, when you give them $1, it ain't nowhere near 90 cents.
Yeah.
I'm guessing it's far under 50
Well,
cents.
to make a huge difference in the world, like some of these major charities are doing, there's a lot of brilliant minds that have to be part of that. There's a lot of science and study and this and that, and those people all have to be paid. Unfortunately, you know, they might discount what they do because it's going to a charity, but they're going to get paid for their time and effort. So it has to touch a lot of those hands. And by the time it gets to the end, it's like, you know, a business that's bleeding money. Just picture like a hose that has a whole bunch of holes in it. By the time it gets to the end, it's already spurting out all these other directions. So there's not a whole lot that ends up in the bucket.
Yeah. And our money goes into the bank, out to the manufacturer of whatever equipment that we're buying for people, right to them. That item goes right to the person, and it is fairly seamless.
Yeah.
Occasionally we'll get involved and buy equipment for that person, but usually it's, hey, I need an attachment for my wheelchair. We go to the manufacturer, we pay for it, they get it. I want hand control so I could drive. Well, we call up the DME company, we find out where they're going to put the hand controls on, we pay for the hand controls, they get them installed, bam, now they get that freedom of being able to drive.
It's amazing. So what would be the biggest message that you have received back from your community of donors and from the folks that have been able to benefit from SOAR? Like, obviously, I know that you're an extremely inspired and motivated person. I also know that, you know, you're inspired by others, but you really create a lot of your own inspiration. Like, you're very determined, you're very passionate. By the way, if you follow Brian on social media, the guy's posting about 17 times a day. At one point, I had to call him and be like, Brian, you got to scale back on how much you're posting. You're putting so much stuff out there. But it just goes to show me, like, this guy is so filled with heart. He needs a wheelbarrow to drag his heart around. He's posting nonstop because until the moment he stops breathing, he is going to make this work. I'm certain of it. He is going to continue pushing and telling the story and getting the message out until his last breath. And that last breath will probably be like, please donate to SOAR, right? I mean, he's going to keep pushing. So I'm really curious, what has been some of the feedback that you've gotten? Because you're filling so many tanks up that your tank eventually has to feel like it's on empty. How are you filling your tank back up? Is it coming from... Where is it coming from?
I've been blessed. I've been really blessed, John.
You say that all the time, Brian, and I'm gonna call you on this because you are blessed. You're absolutely right. You say it all the time, but I need a deeper answer than that. I need an answer from a phone call or a letter you got from a donor or a call you got from a little girl that literally brought you to tears. This tough guy, by the way, big dude. He's in a wheelchair, but this is a big, tough guy. Okay, I need to know the one that just broke you up because that's the one you keep going back to when you need to fill that tank.
Well, I told you the one story. Mm-hmm. You know, they open the garage door. There's Graham and Grandpa, and then the three kids. I've had numerous experiences like that. Like that story, that feeling. As I said, I get goosebumps, and I don't. And in spots I can't even feel it. That charges you up. It's not always enough. But so, and that's why I keep things, and I'm gonna grab it over here. That's why I keep things like letters on the desktop in a file that we have received from different people that show appreciation. And all we ask people to do is send us a photo.
Yeah.
And if they wanted to give us a shout out on social media, so that we can show our amazing donors and contributors where there's money going.
We need more photos and we need more videos because that's what we need, videos of. So if you're seeing this, and by the way, Brian, the link to this podcast needs to be sent to every family that you have worked with and impacted. And we need you to send us videos of your family members with a big smile on their face so that we can help more families like you. But we need you to support this podcast and help us to create awareness. So you got to like and subscribe. But please read us some of these letters.
Now, this isn't the story I told you, but it's very similar. So, dear SOAR team, I want to express my deepest gratitude for the therapeutic trike you gave to Emily. Watching them ride for the first time was an emotional moment, something I'll never forget. The smile on their faces said it all: freedom, confidence, and pure joy. This trike has given our family something priceless. It's more than exercise. It's independence, inclusion, and hope. For the first time, my child can ride alongside friends and siblings, feel part of the group instead of feeling left behind. A sense of belonging. And that just hits me because I know what that's like.
Well, it hits me.
Means
I have
the world to us. Thank you for believing in the potential of every child, for creating opportunity that reminds families like ours that anything is possible.
Brian, I have all of my abilities, and I have still had moments where I felt left behind. You can mentally feel left behind. You could drive past a neighborhood party and see all of your friends' cars there, and you didn't get the invite. And by the way, that happens to me way more often than I would like to admit. But I mean, you could feel left behind, left out. You were maybe left out of a board meeting that you thought that you would have been invited into because you're a sales manager and it was, about driving revenue. And for some reason, you were left out of that meeting. There's a lot of ways that you can feel left out. This is a different feeling of left out because it's, I don't know, it just hits different.
It's something we expect.
Yes.
It's something we expect our family, friends, loved ones to be able to do. And when it's somebody love, especially a child, it hurts.
Yeah.
It just hurts. And I've been there. I mean, I have been on, knock on wood, I made President's Club, and I've been there when they have a golf outing, and 90% of the people are there except me and my wife, just because. And I will say the president of the company I work for was very gracious with saying, I apologize, but they knew I wasn't this guy that was gonna, piss and moan and
what
complain.
about inclusion? And
right?
all
No,
that?
that's
We're gonna
not
do
me.
that. Yeah.
You know what? It's not their fault. I'm in a wheelchair. It's not their fault. I expect them to go golf, and 80% of the people there wanted to golf. Because it was a beautiful location. And I yet it still hurt.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I was able to take my family to Florida. And we went to the beach. Now, we stayed at a beautiful resort, but the beach and getting to the ocean was maybe a football field's length away. And some sand I could ride in, some sand I just sink like quicksand. And I vowed I will never let my disability get in the way of my family and friends having fun. I couldn't go on the sand. And my wife, I'll stay here, let the kids go. I go, no, the four of you go and enjoy the ocean. I'm going to sit poolside. I would never, ever let them know how that hurts. I'm their father and I'm a husband. I should be there, if nothing else, to protect them, to look over them. And I can't do that, let alone to put my daughter or son on my shoulders to throw back into the water. I can't do that because they didn't have a beach chair. Now I can get a beach chair for $3,000-$4,000, give it to the resort. Now that'll never happen again if I get the right donations.
I mean, that's what it's all about. Look, Brian, the fact is that we obviously have this mission here with this podcast that we want to inspire and we want to inform and we want to create some really great content. And the previous podcasts that we've put out and the different ways that we've collaborated, I think that we try and really give back to others and maybe lift you up a little bit, give you a different way of thinking, share some of the wisdom that Brian has. I'm still working on gaining some wisdom, but to share just something that maybe you could hang on to or make you feel good. In this episode, I think it was relevant for us to maybe talk a little bit about the fact that we've got a gentleman here and a family that are on a mission to change lives, and they could use a helping hand. And so if you've been playing along, please go to www.soarnonprofit.com. Take a look at the website. Take a look at some of the articles on there and some of the testimonials. Take a look at the link where you could potentially contribute. Send an email to Brian and ask how you could get involved. And by the way, I don't know if you know this or not. I think we made it clear that, and if you follow Brian on social media, you know this. Brian speaks all over the place. I think I've alluded to the fact that he's written 9 books, 3 bestsellers. So this isn't necessarily about like, well, let me reach out to Brian and we'll just cut him a check and then we'll call it a day and we'll feel good. Like, this is a reciprocity thing. I don't think Brian would even allow that. But Brian could come out and do an SKO for you. He could come and talk to your sales team. He could do a speech for your community. You could have him at an event to come out and talk to people about, you know, the life that he's lived, just to give a little bit of inspiration. He could come and talk about his book and some of the principles that he put into these books of how he's helped people to get from point A to point B to point Z. So this is not like us putting our hands out going, please send us $5. That's not what we're talking about. This is a reciprocity thing. Brian will donate his time and talent. And in return, it's more of a barter system here.
Absolutely. You know what? I have done it before. I love giving back. I love the reciprocity idea, whether that be sending somebody books, sending an organization just my books that they can hand out. I did a sales presentation kind of to build up a team out of North Dakota via Zoom, that they were kind of all flat and they were, I think, just a little burnt out. And so
that's every sales team right now.
Yes. So they had me do a little bit of a giddy up, get up and, you know, realign yourself and get fresh. But one more thing I have to read.
Please do.
Because I just don't deal with people with disabilities. I talk to and coach and mentor and help many able-bodied people that are just stuck.
See, I learn new things every day.
They've got, you know, whether it be they never had the confidence, they got, you know, that self-doubt, they've got their questioning
imposter
themselves.
syndrome.
They've got all that. I spend probably 40% of my time coaching and mentoring.
How the hell do I not know this?
Sales professionals, sales leaders, and I've been blessed to be mentored by John Maxwell, who I kind of chose to be somebody I followed, and I've been blessed, and not just with John Maxwell, but I love reading, I love learning, and that's, I think, important. But let me read this. Dear S.O.A.R, I can't thank you enough for the equipment you provided for me, for the books, the gifts that have opened new doors for me. It's not just about getting outdoors, it's about reclaiming freedom. Every time I head out, I feel a sense of independence and strength, and I haven't felt that in years. You've helped me break through barriers and rediscover what it means to truly live without limits. Thank you for believing in that possibility for people like me. Gratefully, Tom T. I won't say his last name. But these are stories and notes and letters we get back that you asked earlier what drives me, and that's what drives me. But I have no problem getting on a call, getting on a Zoom, if you're local, coming out and doing a speech for you. As I said, I just was speaking at Moraine Valley Community College. I did a speech for them for all the recipients of scholarships. And it went well. I love doing it. I love motivating people. So, yes, it's about reciprocity. As I said earlier, I believe everybody could win. Everybody has it within them to win.
Some people just need a helping hand.
That fire.
Yeah. Need to light a fire. Some people need a helping hand, maybe a positive statement, maybe a little training statement. Maybe you could write a talk track for a sales team, whatever it might be. As I mentioned earlier, there's 61 million people in the United States with some sort of physical disability. Many of them, of course, veterans. Some people born that way. Some people that were in an accident of some sort. And so if you, in fact, are catching this episode and you have a disability, do me a favor. Hit the subscribe button. You probably, because there's peer groups and interaction and social media, the world is really, really big, but it's really, really small. There's probably a friend that you have that also has a disability that maybe you rely on, you count on. Maybe send them a note and say, hey, this is a cool podcast. Because they're helping people with disabilities. Like, that's the end result that they're aiming for. If we subscribe to this podcast and then we keep telling people about it, it'll get more attention and awareness, and maybe we can move the needle in Congress. Maybe we can move the needle with insurance companies. Maybe we can move the needle with getting grants easier and more well-funded. Maybe we could move the needle with manufacturers saying, hey, look, we'll donate a portion of our manufactured products to source to make it just a little bit easier on them. Maybe it touches a father, a mother, a son or daughter who are a prominent business leader that happen to have a nephew or a child or somebody with a disability that wouldn't have seen this otherwise, and they then will contribute their time, talent, and treasure. We're really trying to create a grassroots movement here because, as Brian has so consistently alluded to, Christopher Reeve's leaving this earth, this universe, to probably go sit in the kingdom of heaven, has left a huge hole, not only in Brian's heart, because he clearly was a huge fan, but it's left a huge hole in the community. I'll give you an example. I asked Brian today about how his content creation was being supported. And he said, you know what's amazing is I'm getting a lot of negative feedback. And I said, why? And he said that there's quite a few people that have disabilities that kind of are saying things like, hey, Brian, who the hell do you think you are? Or, hey, Brian, how did you get your disability? Were you a veteran? Did you serve? Because I served and that's how I got my disability and you didn't. My goodness, like, what is happening in the world right now where somebody is trying to impact the total, and you've got people within the community that are not only not supporting, but also deterrents to the progress of the SOAR mission? We need the 61 million people to rally together around this, not to have a defeatist attitude or some level of jealousy because maybe they feel like they're not doing enough. Certainly not to bring somebody down who is, I'm telling you, last night I checked, he posted 5 posts at 12:30 to 12:38. I saw it on the Hootsuite that we share. The guy is posting. He's up at night posting at 12:30 at night.
And where was
Not for himself.
And when you know where I was at 3 o'clock? 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Orthopedic surgery.
Yeah, that's right. He was getting orthopedic surgery yesterday and still was up at 12:30, probably on painkillers, posting. I'm going to have to proofread some of the posts he put out. You're posting on painkillers. No painkillers?
No painkillers.
All right, come on.
They said Tylenol or Motrin.
There you go.
I had 2 procedures done, and I was worried about not so much if my face was swollen. I've got a face for radio anyways. But I wanted to be able to talk. But there's that, I've been blessed to be able to have stuff like that done and still move forward.
Yeah.
It truly is a blessing. But I learned that mindset. That is a grit mindset I worked on. I intentionally developed that mindset. I wasn't born with it.
No, you also weren't allowed. You had to have it, because if you've listened to us previously, Brian wanted to pout. Brian wanted to be upset. Brian wanted to isolate. And his parents said, hell no, that's not happening. And then months would go by, and then Brian would have that, whatever that devilish demon that lives inside all of us that comes up and goes, no, you're not good enough. No, you're going to go sit in a room by yourself and wallow in your self-pity. And no, you're going to not shower and all this stuff, and you're going to isolate. Whatever that voice is, and we all have it. Some of us have it contained, some of us don't. But it would creep back in, and then his parents would go, no, that's not going to happen. And then it would creep back, and a nun that told Brian, you're going to go be a lawyer, would say, no, that's not going to happen. So this is not like he's making this up. This is somebody who's fought very hard to get to this point where he feels blessed and he's got gratitude and he wants to give back. But you're skipping the point here, because what shocks me is how in the world could somebody in the same situation as you be critical of you when you're trying to benefit them?
Well, I think sometimes I'm a very confident man, and that baffles people.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be. You're supposed to feel sorry for yourself.
Right. And not just feel sorry for yourself, but I'm supposed to, slither into a room and not be noticed? I walk into a room like I own the room. Life's too short to live life any other way. I walk or roll into a room, I walk into it like I own it, because that's who I am. And I think confidence bothers people. And then you make a statement like a post like I did, which was not self-lighting or self-lifting for me, but it was like, you have a choice to do things, and this choice is a choice I made that other people didn't make. And I think that bothers a lot of people out there that, why...
that are resistant to make that choice.
Absolutely.
They just haven't decided yet. And so that little voice, because the cartoons where they show the devil on the shoulder and the angel on the shoulder, it's actually real.
Yeah.
There's two sides of our brain. One that tells us that you should be defeated, you should be down, that you're not good enough. And then there's another side you have to tap into that goes...
the two wolves.
Yeah, you own which one you want to feed, baby.
Which wolf? You got the white wolf here, and you got the darker wolf here, and we all have them.
Yeah.
And you know what? Which one do you feed? And a lot of times I post for...
You post for others, but you're talking to yourself.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
I know that feeling.
Absolutely I am. And to write, what? The best thing you could do out there is remind yourself of your little wins.
Oh my gosh.
Remind
Write
yourself
about
the
it.
time
Please
you got
post
up.
about it.
Remind yourself of the time you moved forward when it was difficult. Those are the things that build confidence. That's the reason I can say what I say, because I lived it. I live it every day. I'm an example. I had to be. I had 3 kids. How could I ever let them see? How could I let them ever see me not get up in the morning and go to work, not get up in the morning not feeling good? They've seen me get up and go to work with peeing blood, knowing I just had kidney stones removed. You know what? My kids rarely will ever look at me and say I can't, because they know.
How could they?
They know what's going to happen. I've got to share a cool story. So
Please do.
I coached football for 22 years.
Nice.
From grammar school, from flag football all the way up. One of my dreams, I'd still love to coach in college. So if anybody's out there looking for somebody to review tapes, to come and help support the mindset, the mentality, the mental well-being of athletes, let me know. I would love to do that. So I was coaching in high school, my high school, St. Lawrence in Burbank. And we had a kid, Marty, I won't say his last name, and he was a man-child back then, and
14 years old with a mustache.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Looked like Tom Selleck.
Yeah. He played, of course, he played middle linebacker, and he was a running back, and just the nicest kid, but he had a little lazy bone in him. And he went up to one of the coaches that was in earshot from me. He was probably 10, 15 yards away. And it was a hot day. I mean, hell hot day. And we're going on doubles or triples. And he's like, Coach, man, it's too hot. I can't do this anymore. And I can hear it. And I was a Marty fan, even though I was coaching receivers at the time and not Marty. He goes, no problem, Marty. If you want to quit, just go over there and tell Coach Swift it's too hard for you. Marty, peripheral vision. I saw Marty turn from the coach, take about 3 steps towards me.
And circle back.
And then circle back, get back in line and do it. There was no way Marty was going to come
You're
tell
the
me.
last line of defense of excuse making. It's kind of like, all right, cool. You want to make that? Go talk to Brian.
They did.
That'll be done.
And it was
That's
just
good.
one of the coolest moments I remember. And Marty's even brought it up because I've stayed in touch with a lot of the players I coach. But I love having that effect on people. And I'm telling you out there, man, if you're in a rut, if you're down, if there's something stopping you, you can get by it. You really can. If I've done it, and I'm just a simple guy that learned a lot of lessons and continues to learn, continues to grow. And is very faith-driven and believes in a lot of philosophies of, if you want to get what you want out of life, give back to others. Man, that works, and there's enough for all of us out there. So continue to watch this podcast, share this podcast. We need it from a grassroots effort. It will pay dividends for everybody out there.
Yeah, just like most of the very talented people I've had the pleasure of interacting with that lead with purpose like you do. One of the folks that I can recall taught me the term of time, talent, and treasure. And it's like every single one of us has some way that we could contribute. Doesn't necessarily need to be money. That certainly would be very helpful, but perhaps an introduction. Simply hitting the subscribe button, as I mentioned, just telling a friend about us, liking and commenting on the post, following the SOAR Podcast page on LinkedIn. All of these things play a small role in helping us to progress and to have a man sitting here live out his dream. And his dream is to help other people who stop dreaming to start dreaming and to live out their dream. I mean, that's what he wants to do. Like, he doesn't need to do this. Do you understand? He does not need to do this. He literally, he's a lawyer. Okay, he could go do his legal work. He's a motivational speaker. He could go lead a sales team. Like, he doesn't need to do this. You understand? So I just find it amazing that 61 million people, that any one of those 61 million people would be critical of what you have to say or what you're doing in any way, shape, or form, or that 61 million people would not catch on to this and be supportive and contribute in some way. He does not need to do this. He's choosing to do this because he wants to make a difference. So that being said, please go to www.soarnonprofit.com. And I'm telling you right now, we're not stopping. We're not going to stop because we're going to find a way to make this thing double, triple, quadruple. What's the next level? I don't know.
We'll just keep going. And you're right. I mean, I don't know how to stop. I may pause. I may
shuffle the deck.
I may get down on my knees, be knocked down on my knees, be knocked down on my back. That just gives me an opportunity to look at what the real purpose is for all of us and be thankful that I got that view. But it is just a divine detour. And you may be on a divine detour right now that is just preparing you for something better. So just hold on and keep moving forward. It's just something simple as, I'm going to ask the world this, who's watching. Do you have written goals? If you don't, one, shame on you. And two, I guarantee if you put some goals on paper, that your life will be better tomorrow. It might be better this afternoon. Start with goals that are purpose-driven.
You know what else? Start with an I am statement. This helped me. This got me out of major mental ruts. I read a book called Project 369. Talks about Tesla, and Tesla discovered the power of numbers. He believed that 3, 6, and 9 were the most powerful numbers, 9 being the perfect number. You'd have to read the book to get into it, but talks about angel symbols, hence why I've named my company 444 Media, because I see the numbers 444 all the time. After a terrible occurrence in my life, I started seeing those numbers. My life completely changed. I got closer to Christ and all these different things. But I started writing down I am statements, and you write them down 3 times in the morning, 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times at night. The reason you do the 9 times at night is because right before you fall asleep, it's the last thing that is on your mind. Your mind, when you're sleeping, goes into the super subconscious. The super subconscious is where unbelievable ideas and dreams kind of all connect and come together. So what ends up happening is it's a way of manifesting. It's also a way of communicating with God what you believe that you are before you are that. And then it starts to become that. So you wake up in the morning and you just start moving towards that thing that you said that you aren't yet, but you're going to become. So I started writing down these I am statements. Wouldn't you know it? Next thing you know, I start becoming the things that I said that I am. you start to use this positive talk to convince yourself of these things, and then they just kind of show up. It doesn't mean that you manifest them and a genie pops out and all of a sudden you're just that. It does work in the conscious, the subconscious, and the super subconscious, which causes you to take the actions. And you don't even realize it, but you're starting to take the actions to move towards it, and that's what's causing you to become it. So whether it's writing down goals or writing down your I am statements or a combination of all of those things, please do that and know that we are on a mission, and hopefully we can play a role in impacting you on whatever mission you're on. But be on a mission. Be on some sort of mission. Don't be stagnant and just kind of sitting still waiting for shit to happen. It's not going to. You got to make it happen.
Have a purpose. Get up every day with a purpose. And I don't care if the purpose is just to get your room cleaned. It's a purpose. I don't care if it's to do that one thing you've been putting off, the one thing you're afraid of. Wake up with a purpose. Wake up goal-driven. Wake up having stated your I statement. I have several free e-booklets on confidence, on becoming more, on goals. Reach out to me. I'm on social media. I'm hard to miss. I am the Quadfather, _Quadfather on Instagram. Brian P. Swift or SOAR Nonprofit on Facebook.
Send him a DM at 12:30. He'll answer.
Usually, I will answer it. I will answer it because, yes, my sleeping habits are weird because my mind takes off. Mm-hmm. And I'm on LinkedIn. So find a way to reach out if you want help. And this isn't just for people with disabilities.
Yeah.
I spend a lot of time coaching, mentoring people that just are stuck in business. They're afraid of that first step as an entrepreneur. And I'm telling you, I'm here for you. How can I serve you? That ball is now in your court.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the SOAR Podcast, powered by the Quadfather, and we believe that if we all come together, we can all soar. Have a great day. Thanks for having me, Brian.
Thank you, John. God bless.
Cheers.
I'm the Quadfather, OG of the grind, rolling through life, leave the haters behind. Built from the struggle, yeah, you know who I be. Respect to the hustle, that's the energy of the OG.